Hello and welcome to Grade 4, Unit 5. This unit is going to talk about all types of measurement. So make sure you have your note sheet and a notebook and be ready to take some notes and get some good practice in. Rewatch the video if you need to, or pause at any time to take more notes. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is area and perimeter. Now, again, this is not a new concept, but we're going to start going deeper into this concept. So remembering which is going to be helpful when we dive deeper. So remember that perimeter is around an object. This is a one-dimensional measurement. We're walking on straight lines around the object. So we are just going to add all the sides together. The label for perimeter is just whatever unit it's being measured in. So feet, yards, miles, anything of that sort. Area is the two-dimensional shape. It has the base and it has a height to it, and it's all that space that fills the middle. So this one's going to be base times height. And because we're multiplying, and we multiplied two numbers, our label is going to have square in it. So it's going to be squared feet, squared inches, squared miles. All right, the reason we needed this note-taking sheet was to move on to our next concept, which is area and perimeter of complex rectangular shapes. So you can see here as an example, this is not a normal rectangle. It's like it has two added on. So we have some steps for this. The first step is to find all the missing sides. So if we take a look at the bottom here, and we take a look at all the tops, they need to equal each other. Well, on the bottom we have 5. On the top, we have something and 3. Well, something and 3 needs to equal 5. So we would find out that our missing amount right here is 2 centimeters. Okay, working over on the sides, we have a vertical line here, a vertical line here, and a big vertical line here. The big one tells us our total amount, which is 8. The other side says 4 and something. Well, what plus 4 gets me to 8? And the correct answer is 4 centimeters. Now, if you notice, both of these lines right here that we had to find the missing amount, they almost look like they're the same length. So don't assume that looks are going to be the same amount. Make sure you're doing the math to find out how much they are. After you find all your missing side lengths, you're going to break the shape into 2 or more rectangles based on how many you need to break it into. I usually like to make horizontal lines, but it's best to look at the shape and think, where would it be to make a good cut across to come out with? And now we're going to find the area of each of these rectangles. The top one has a 3 as a base and a 4 as a height. So we're going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. And I like to write my math right within the rectangle or square that I was solving. Now this next one, if I go around the shape, I'm seeing at least 3 numbers touching this shape. Now remember, we cut across the 8, so we are not going to use the 8. We have a base of 5, and we have a height of 4. So we're going to do 5 times 4, which is 20. And we're going to circle that. Now, we have 2 partial products, 12 and 20. We need to find the total area of this shape. So I'm going to do 20 plus the 12 to find out how much my total product or area is. which we get 32. So our area is 32, but we need to make sure we put a label because the label is an important part of the answer. And we did area multiplication, so we're going to do squared centimeters. You can write it out completely, squared and centimeters. You can write SQ.cm dot, or you can even abbreviate smaller, which is cm, with that little 2 in the sky exponent, which means squared. All right, the next concept we're going to talk about is time. Take a look at this clock right here. It gives us some different key points about a clock. Remember, the small hand is your hour hand, the long hand is your minute hand. Each hour is designated on the clock, 1 through 12. And each of those numbers represent 5-minute increments. Now, when we have the minute hand to the 3, we call that quarter past. We are a quarter of the way around our clock. If we split our clock into 4 quadrants, that's how you can see the quarter. And think money. If we have 4 quarters, we have $1. So 4 parts, we have quarter past. If we're all the way to the 6, it's half past. And if we are to the 9, we are quarter to the new hour. So we can read a clock by saying how many minutes to the next hour and how many minutes past the hour. So in this case, we are 20 minutes to the next hour. Well, our hour hand is between the 11 and 12. So we are 20 minutes until the hour gets to 12. So we would say 20 minutes to 12 o'clock. If we go around the clock, we go all the way from the 12 to the 8, that is 40 minutes. So we are 40 minutes past the other hour that our hour hand is between. So we are past 11 o'clock. So we're 40 minutes past 11 o'clock. So we can write our to and from. The big concept that you're going to be working on in this unit, though, is elapsed time. Elapsed time is that passing of time. This is such an important skill. This is one you're going to use the rest of your life. Like, how much time is it going to take me to drive to this activity? And I need to be at that activity early to get ready. And it starts at a certain time. So what time do I need to leave my house to be on time? Or if I go to a movie and the movie lasts this long, what time is it going to end? What time will I be back home? So there are different ways to do elapsed time. The biggest 2 methods would be using a T-chart where we start at a time, like 3:05 here, and then we jump by hours. 4:05 is 1 hour, 5:05 is 1 hour, and then we start jumping by minutes. 5:05 to 5:10 is 5 minutes. 5:10 to 5:20 is 10 minutes, and 5:20 to 5:30 is 10 minutes. I then say I had 2 hours, and I add my minutes, I get 25. So my elapsed time in that case, from going from 3:05 to 5:30 is 2 hours, 25 minutes. We can do the same on a number line. We do our hour hops first, and then our smaller minute hops, and then we add them all together. Let's take a look at some conversions for time. If I have 1 minute, that equals 60 seconds. Now, everything on this chart of time is something that you need to know and have memorized. 1 hour equals 60 minutes. 1 day equals 24 hours. 1 week equals 7 days. 1 year is 365 days. Now some might say, but ever so often there's 1 extra day. That's called this leap year one. So in that one we have 366 days. 1 year is 52 weeks. This might be one you didn't know very well. That might be one you want to write down on a flashcard and practice. And there are 12 months in 1 year. All right, let's take a look at one of those elapsed time on the bottom here. Hannah's practice starts at 9:45 a.m. and ends at 12:35. So I'm going to write my start time here, 9:45. And we want to get to our end time, which is 12:35. So I'm going to start with my hour hops. We go to 10:45, which is 1 hour. And then we go to 11:45. So that would be 2 hours. Now I can't go to 12:45 because that's after our time. So now we start hopping by minutes. I'm going to first go 15 minutes and go to 12 o'clock because that's a nice number to work with. And then I'm going to go to 12:30, which is 30 minutes. And then I will go to my last amount, which was 5 minutes. And minutes is MIN. I'm going to just abbreviate on one of them. All right, so I had 2 hours. And then we have to add up our minutes. 15 and 30 is 45. 45 plus 5 is 50 minutes. So Hannah's practice lasted 2 hours and 50 minutes. Make sure you put your labels with your answers. Do not write this as 2:50 because that is a time on a clock and not the passing of time. So that is not how we write this. The next topic that this unit's going to cover is customary measurements. Now, last year we worked with Gallon Man and started to learn some of these conversion amounts with capacity. But if you don't remember any of these, start making some flashcards. 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. 1 pint is 2 cups. 1 quart is 2 pints. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. And 128 fluid ounces is 1 gallon. That is probably one that a lot of you don't remember or need some extra practice with. So make a flashcard for that one. In weight, we have 1 pound equals 16 ounces, and 2,000 pounds is 1 ton. Again, you do need to know the 16 ounces for the 1 pound. That's a big one for this unit. Going over to measurement of length, we have 12 inches to 1 foot, 3 feet to 1 yard. We have 5,280 feet to a mile and 1,760 yards to a mile. These two would be ones definitely have memorized. And we have some of our labelings. IN, inches, FT, feet, YD, yards, MI, miles. The metric system is also going to be within this unit. The customary system is used in the US, so it's important to know. The metric system is used everywhere else in the world, and it is the universal system of measurement in science, so it's going to be one that is important to understand. I like to use the phrase, King Henry died upon drinking chocolate milk. The K stands for kilo. The H is hecto. The D is for deca, and deca is represented as DA. The U is the unit. We only have 3 units of measurement in the metric system. We have meters when we're measuring length, liters for liquid capacity, and grams for mass. Those are the only measurements you're going to use. Adding these prefixes change if it's a large measurement or a small measurement. Drinking is deci, chocolate is centi, and milk is milli. Having that silly little phrase helps us to memorize this chart. A good hint also is that after the units, all of these are I words. Deci, centi, milli, where none of them before have that I in them. Kilo is our biggest unit of measurement. Think like far distance, really heavy weighing items. Those are going to be using the kilo term. Filling a big, huge swimming pool. Milli is our smallest term. Millimeter is the thickness of a dime. A milliliter, there is 128 milliliters in, or not 128 milliliters, sorry, I'm crossing the things. But there are a lot of milliliters. If you look in pop or anything of that sort, you're going to see that cross. And then milligrams is a tiny little measurement of mass. All of these units are 10 times or bigger or smaller than the one next door to it. So to go from hecto to kilo, it's 10 times bigger, 10 times smaller. So we can divide by 10 or multiply by 10. That's really handy because then all we're doing is either adding zeros or moving decimals. So if I want to look at an example below, if I have liters, I am right here. And I want to move to deciliters. That is one spot, so that is 10. Deciliters is 10 times smaller than liters. So if I want to find the conversions, I'm going to take the 5, I will times it by 10, and I get my amount of 50 deciliters. I have 7 liters, I take my 7, I times it by 10, and I get 70 deciliters. I have 12, I times it by 10, and I get 120 deciliters. Another way that we can do conversions is by using the chart. King Henry died upon drinking chocolate milk. And then I draw lines, and I do a big chart like this if I'm going to be doing this unit, and then I just keep putting everything on the same chart. So when you take your pre-test, post-test, any unit work, having the chart made, and then using it for every problem. So in this problem, I have 3 HM. Because I have 2 letters, that means I'm going to look at the first letter, the H. H stands for hecto. So I have hectometers, and I have 3 of them. So I'm going to put my 3 in the hectometers. Now I only have a single letter. The single letters stand for the units, not to be confused with milli. Notice in milli, we have like millimeters, milliliters, milligrams. Those all have 2 letters. But if we have a single letter, then we're only working in the unit category. So I need to get to the U. What I can do is just fill in with holes or zeros and fill in my empty spaces with those 0 placeholders. So I get 300. So if I have 3 hectoliters, I get 300 meters. And that should have been hectometers, not hectoliters, sorry. So what we did was the 3 times 100 to get us to the 300. Knowing this chart, make up your own phrase for all the letters. It doesn't have to be King Henry died upon drinking chocolate milk, but if you don't want to create your own, you may use that one to help you remember the chart. See if our page will load here. Well, what should be on this page is the bottom answers problem. So this would be a good time to pause the worksheet and to try to get those answers in. And I am not sure why this one is not showing up with that picture. Sorry about that. Let's see if I hit my edit button, if it will show up. Interesting. They have it. The picture is on my slide, but it is not showing up over on the side there. The first answer is going to be 6,000. Oh, there we go. The second answer is 14,000. There we go, 14,000. Our time, Megan started mowing the lawn at 1:20. She mowed for 45 minutes. So 1:20, 40 minutes would have been 2 o'clock. 5 more minutes would have been 2:05. And don't forget the label, PM. What is the area of the rectangle? We do base, we do times height. So 11 times 3, and we get 33. So the area is 33 squared meters. The next one, we're going to break it into pieces. So we have, I broke it across horizontal. We had a 6 times 2, 12. The middle part, we had to do a little bit of extra math because that 10 went a little too far, so we had to subtract the 2 up top here. So we ended up with an 8. And then we had to do some more math. If we had 3 here, but 6 total, the missing was 3 then over here. So we have an 8 times 3, 24. And the bottom is a 7 times 4, which is 28. I then add those 3 partial products together, and I get 64 meters squared. The last one, if Sam cuts a 27-foot rope into 3 equal pieces, how long is each piece? So we do 27 divided by 3, and we get 9. This unit has a lot of information that needs to be memorized. Please make some flashcards or take the good notes. Rewatch the video as you need to. And lots of practice. Remember, doing the Math Activity Center lesson checks is a great resource, along with I Excelled the Skills Plan for Grade 4, Unit 5. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.